Ladies and gents, are we live? Welcome back to yet another Dauntless Repeater build. Today, what I'm actually going to show you is the new build for the repeaters that I've been using on stream. I'm going to be showcasing both a legendary version and a non-legendary version. So, to start off with, I'm actually going to showcase the legendary version. Basically, your normal Ostean repeaters with a Berserker cell, evasion. Alright, evasion is just a... Like, you can literally put in any cell. Nobody's going to say anything. I like evasion because it just gives me that extra tiny bit of invulnerability frames, which helps me out. There, see? Increase dodge and vulnerability windows by 21%. So, that's why I use that. Your barrel, you can swap your barrel to whatever you need based on the situation. You're going up against ice enemies, bring a fire barrel. Okay? If you're going up against earth enemies, bring a lightning barrel. I mean, it's literally up to you. Your chamber will be the marksman chamber because when you empower it, the 80% damage bonus, oh yeah, that thing's crazy. Captain's grip increases your attack speed by 20%. Okay, you don't need it to be empowered. You can launch it on cooldown, so it is pretty fucking good. All right. Mod Lucky Magazine. Now, a lot of people say, wait, why don't you use Tactician's Magazine? Blah, 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 blah. I need to cool down things. Okay, I'll explain this very simply. Your focus is, in fact, DPS. And considering the fact that you're going to be using Cascade with this, you'll be cooling down very, very quickly. Legit. You will not even notice the cooldown times because you'll be so focused on grabbing your power and vulnerability boosts and blasting away. You're also going to have molten shells to pick up, things like that, because of the new future Slayer Path buff. The drone, it's going to spawn a lot of stuff for you based on how fast you fire these repeaters. So because of that, you actually won't notice the cooldown times so much so that you need your mod to be Tactician's Magazine. So for that reason, I went with Lucky Magazine, which, considering the amount of DPS you're putting out, getting closer to that 100% crit rate is very efficient, especially since you're using Tenacious. It would be very easy for you to get to that high crit rate. Okay, now, last but not least is your Prism. Stoneheart Prism, which comes from the Skarn, is basically your go-to for this build because that's what helps boost your shielding from Tenacious, which gives you the crit rate. Now, for your hat, Nasher Cap with a +3 toughness cell. Okay. Mantle of Thorns, which is the Koshai chest. +3, it comes with +3 Predator, and you put in your Cascade cell here. Malkurion's Grasp. This is the only legendary piece in this build. Okay, you put your Berserker cell in here. And last but not least is your Nasher Treads with Toughness and Tenacious. Alright, so... Oh, and your Lantern has the other Cascade cell. Now, what I'm going to say is that if you want to, okay, you can actually take this out and replace it with Light's Refuge. If you don't have any legendary pieces and the queue times are too long, boop, like that, Conduit. And also, in terms of this, right, the alternate build that some people choose to use if they don't like Berserker is Cunning. All right, you can just put it together like that. I normally run Berserker because I feel that Berserker does way more damage. Okay, how should I put this? To explain the math behind it, okay, just for those that are interested, if you put in a Cunning cell, when you reach 100% crit rate, you will outdo Berserker cells. Legit. I've tested the math. But that's only at 100% crit rate. Anything prior to 100%, you don't overtake Berserker. So in the time it takes to get to that 100% crit rate, your Berserker will be outputting way more raw damage. It's only at the 100% that your Cunning would actually outdo it. And the only time that it may be better is if you're looking at like a pure attack speed build, which is not exactly efficient in my opinion. So I do not like to use Cunning. I feel that you get a lot more out of Berserker. Okay, because of the speed at which you fire your guns, you get a lot more out of Berserker than you do out of Cunning. Now, Cunning does give you the big hits, yes, but you actually do more damage over time with Berserker. Okay, you can test it for yourself if you like. You will find that your kill times are much faster with Berserker because right off the bat, you're dishing out a lot more damage. Okay, now the only alternate, which I'll show you guys, is that if you don't have a legendary, like you don't have your Melchiorion's Grasp, this alternate build will do just as fine. You can replace one of the Cascade cells with a Conduit to max out Conduit. This gives you 15% attack speed every time your lantern charges up, and that can actually be very helpful. Okay, even if you want to go full Cascade, just saying, you would still be getting at least 8% every time your lantern's charged, and it charges really fast. So just to showcase the power of the non-legendary version of this build, all right, I'll go with a full Conduit. All right, now you will miss out on Predator. But your Berserker will cover that. Or you can swap one Berserker cell for a Predator cell to go for max Predator instead. This gives you more opening damage, but you have to be careful not to take a hit. All right, the loss of 15% from Berserker will be covered by Predator. The gain of 21% on Predator. Just remember that it can be a little bit inefficient. So it's genuinely up to you how you want to run this build. But the non-legendary version works just as well as the legendary version. So I'm actually going to prove that right now. For those of you that are not interested in watching the showcase, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe right now. Okay, this is the current build for my repeaters. For those of you that are fans of the Mandalorian Repeater, you can construct something similar. But this is the current one that I'm using, number one, because of the new future drone. And also because Tenacious and the Stoneheart Prism basically covers all the healing you need. Against Primal and Elders, your shielding is much more efficient than healing. So that's why I've decided to go with this style of building rather than focusing on the previous Mandalorian build, which I used to use. Okay, now I'm actually going to showcase the build in action because there's no point in me talking about all this and then there's no build to see. Okay, we'll be heading to Cold Runner Key. Or should I go to Snowblind Waste? I mean, both are the same to me. Let's go to Snowblind Waste. Tougher the better, right? We'll go there, we'll just do a private hunt, and we'll just kill something. So, again, this is just to show the efficiency of this particular build. I've reforged my repeaters 7 times. The only reason I haven't reforged it more is probably because I'm working on like a lot of different things at the same time. I work on all weapons. So yeah, but the repeaters are downright one of my favorite weapons, and with this build, and this is the non-legendary version, so just imagine how powerful the legendary version is with all maxed out damage. But the legendary version, like I said, requires you to have Melchiorion's Grasp. A lot of people don't have legendary equipment, or so I've found. I don't know why. It's actually really easy to acquire, but if you don't have it, then that's why I make builds without them, so that people can do maximized DPS without needing to worry about that, and through that maximized DPS carry themselves through escalations, because you shouldn't need anybody for any of those. All right. Okay, we got a Primal Behemoth right off the bat, so I'll showcase how this is done. You always want to start off with now obviously you want to hit your you want to get empowered shots ASAP, but the reason why I didn't go for that at first is because, number one, this particular creature, like, I was trying to hold my bonus for as long as possible, and more importantly, I did not want to, because I knew its attack pattern, so I really didn't want to just get poked by that initially. Now I've got no way to boop this thing, so we'll just dodge around it till it gets tired. But it's already down on a quarter of health, and as you can see, there's no urgency. There's no need to panic or worry about anything. Oh, it emerged. Look at it. Being all emergy and shit. Again, it's not a big deal if you take a couple of hits. And the reason why it's not a big deal is because you have Cascade to buff you up. So just remember that your Cascade will be helping you out with like healing and stuff like that. So again, it's not a big deal. You don't need to worry too much about it. And with Conduit, you have much more attack speed than those with pure Cascade builds. Still, like I said, once you have your future drone, it can give you the invulnerability you need. So 3 Cascade is not like terrible. Like this thing is almost dead. And I'm not even like focusing on hitting like the marksman areas that I should be hitting. So like I said, this build is so efficient that you will just be able to sleepwalk through content the way that you see me do it. So I'm not even like taking this fight super seriously. It's literally that easy to operate. So, and as with all of my builds, like you don't have to focus too hard on things. Like just do what you need to do. It might take a while if like the behemoth is the type that can do shit that requires booping. Like this guy, he's annoying, but again, it's not a big deal. Like if I'm playing seriously, normally I would like just dodge around, not take any hits and stuff like that, but again, for build showcasing, I never do that because there's no point. There you go. Creature's dead. So, as you can see, it's really easy from start to finish. No legendary parts required. If you get the full legendary build, you can do a lot better because you'll be able to really smash your way through most things. Alright, so that brings us to the end of this build. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you can build a legendary build, go for it. If you can't, that's absolutely okay. Enjoy taking these repeaters out and smashing everything. I'll see y'all in the next one. Oh, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if you want to feed me, drop a tip. Tip link in the description below.